Um, the opening segment or the opening, I get the interview and then the match and then the afterbirth and the blah blah blah. MJF is again the most captivating speaker on the program amongst their talent roster, anybody. And they've successfully turned him back heel now. But now if you start to listen, it's kind of like, deja vu all over again. MJF was a tremendous heel on the microphone and in the ring with the psychology of his matches. But he was so entertaining that people started cheering. Then the nitwits decided, well, because they're cheering him, we ought to turn him babyface, when they were cheering him because he was the antithesis of a babyface and because of the fact that he was so good at being a heel. But once you turn that guy babyface, as we've gone over this many times, then you got the problems of how to keep him over, because as a babyface, he either can't do or needs to reapply the things that he did that caused him to be popular to begin with. And finally, babyface MJF was not a long-term thing, and they realized this, and after his injury, they switch him back heel. But now, again, he's so good at what he says that people start laughing anyway, and they start liking it anyway. But this is probably the best spot that he can be in, because you're letting him be the real MJF. And as long as you've got a baby face that's strong that you can put him against, it's okay. But when you don't, then that poor baby face that's just not over as much as MJF is going to get blistered. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. So here's the thing. Ospreay, they like him. The fans like him. They view him as a top guy. They're still cheering for him despite the bizarre booking, who's in the heel group and blah, blah, blah. But I'm afraid that the more they let him talk, the less people will like him and the more they'll just like MJF, because MJF promoted Ospreay and, promoted South Carolina. But when he said, South Carolina, you trailer park trashes, you meth heads, a lot of the people, yes, we are. It's like when I went to Philadelphia, when I started getting smart up there, and in my intro, I said, you're the ugliest looking bunch of people I've ever seen. Yes, we fucking suck. But that's fine, as long as when Ospreay comes out, he can carry it. But he had fire, he had passion, but he runs out to the ring to a big pop, and MJF bails and runs back to the entrance. And Ospreay got so complicated, and with that mouthful of gravel. And at one point, he's screaming because he wants to have aggression and animosity and passion and all that stuff. But he's screaming in that accent and not making his sentences short enough. So at one point, if you analyze what he said, I swear to God, he said, and there's not one fan amongst you here that can possibly deny that MJF is an American hero. He said it backwards. I mean, go back, but the longer that he talked, that's because there were so many qualifiers and commas and sub-references. So the longer that he talked, the more that he was losing me and the fans, I think. And he was screaming. First they were with him, and then they're like, what did he say, Ethel?
Well, the other thing, too, how big is his pop when he comes out? Because if you notice, his music starts with a giant pop built into the song. So I can never tell how big his pop is versus the loud crowd boom that he'll get, almost like Mercedes Moné style, in his song.
Well, but also they were cheering him when he started talking, until he goddamn puzzled them and lost them, and they couldn't. And can you imagine a PA microphone in an arena with that accent and everything? And when he went home with it, his closing line, when he hit his point, he finished it, and you could tell the fans didn't really know what his point was. So they just started chanting USA. And the whole thing, and
by the way, if they're chanting USA, does that mean they're cheering MJF?
Well, no, that he was trying to say that. See, here's the thing.
Right?
He's trying to tell this story where MJF isn't really an American hero, and so is MJF. He's not really, we hate you. You're not our American hero. You just claim to be. That's what it's supposed to be. But Ospreay, since he's from England, he's talking about, I love my flag just like the Yanks. The Yanks love their flag. But so he's trying to, but at the same time, it's just so fucking confusing.
Of all the things AEW has failed at, it's articulating this U.S. versus England feud on multiple different occasions now.
Yes. And they didn't really need one with this because the USA guy in Wembley is the fucking heel anyway. So we really didn't need to go back to the Revolutionary War and dig up old wounds. But MJF would get it back on track, a little bit at the end, but that's the thing. I thought Ospreay was a little bit verbose here when he didn't need to be going on and confusing people. But then
I don't think he should use bruv more than once in a sentence. I noticed a few times where it's like, bruv, I'll tell you none of them, bruv. And I was like, okay, too many, too soon.
Well, and I know he's trying to get that over because bro works so well for Shitstain. It's made him a fortune. But if MJF finished the promo by saying, tonight in this shithole, and they were being liberal on the language again, I wonder if it's just when it depends on who's on the button. But tonight in this shithole, everybody dies, including the ratings, because here came Lance Archer.